In a post-truth reality, who will save the world, uncover the mysteries of the universe and build a vast multimedia empire to rival the likes of Genghis Khan? Join these two Aussie meat robots as they thrash out the weird and wonderful, the classified and supernatural, as well as their own inconceivable adventures on the podcast you had to have and never thought you needed. It's time for Hidden in Plain Sight.
Here we are. We're back with another episode of Hidden in Plain Sight. Josh Stewart over here. My buddy Sean Hall right over there.
That's right. I'm right here. And spring has sprung.
Oh, well, I was about to say the opposite here. Starting to get bloody cold.
Bloody cold. You notice we always talk about the weather because you and I get online and we do this kind of thing. And you're in one time zone. I'm in another time zone. It's just too much.
It's almost like we're in different realities at the same time.
Hey, I just want to chuck it out there. What about this three-eye atlas? A lot of people think it's an alien spaceship, but then NASA's saying it's definitely a comet. What do you reckon? What do you reckon's going on with that?
Oh, look, I've had a feeling for a while that sometime in my lifetime we would run into some alien intelligence of some kind.
Yes.
And then I had a feeling it would be by the end of this year. So who knows? Could be.
I thought it was Jeff Bezos.
It could be. It could be a Bezos comet. He's the alien.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Zuckerberg, Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm. Aliens living amongst us.
I think it goes without reason. Anyone who does so well at this game of life and becomes so rich and so fabulous must be a bloody alien, because the rest of us, we're just meat bots trying to get on with life.
That's right. And look, that brings us a bit of a segue. You've got a great T-shirt there, Josh. What's going on there?
Got the meat bots again. Look at that.
Ah, the old meat bots.
Colourful meat bots.
You know, I saw this reel tonight going with meat bots and the idea of us being robots, but artificial intelligence doing things just so much better than what we're doing. Anyway, this guy was playing this reel and he typed into Suno, this new AI music app, make something for me, and it sounded pretty good. It's like, it feels like it's almost game over for musicians in a way. But then again, I was listening to a new song that Alan Stone had just released, and it's like out of this world, and it's a real dude in a room with other real dudes, and people are watching it. So,
well, technology's technology, and stuff gets superseded. I mean, as you and I, we've got a music project which is coming out soon, or a project, or whatever you want to call it,
an album,
platform, an extravaganza, a volume, whatever.
Concept album, Gorillaz Meets the Wall.
That's it. And one thing we discussed was how, like, I went to audio school in the late 90s, and everything was becoming digital. Yeah, and they were literally taking all the analog, beautiful old tube preamps and stuff, and like couldn't sell them. Like, just put them on the side of the road, someone will take them.
Yeah.
Now, it's like for those like they're the holy grails. It's like, we've got to go back to this analog gear. It's amazing, and all the digital stuff's emulating this analog gear. Yeah, and it's like, okay, maybe we'll discover that with the AI. There's a point that is useful, and then we'll just go. Oh.
You bought a Fender, a Rhodes keyboard back in, what was it, the 90s or early 2000s? Late 90s, wasn't it?
Late 90s, yeah.
And how much did you pick it up for then?
I bought that Fender Rhodes for 450 Aussie dollars, which is nothing. And at that time, Rhodes, no one really wanted them. Like, it was
in pretty good nick, as I remember. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. It was the pre CBS Rhodes, pre Fender. Or pre-CBS buyout of Fender. It was great condition. It was it was at 77. There was the 88, which was a big one.
Yeah.
And there was a 66 was the stage.
That's the small one, yeah.
Yeah, so it's that one. Heavy as all hell, like a coffin with a medium-sized male body in it, which I know nothing about. Never carried one.
Never carried one.
No, and that same keyboard now. What are we talking? $5,000, $6,000 Aussie, $4,000?
Easy.
Like up there. I remember the guy, just funny story about that. The guy that came to buy the keyboard, I sold it for what I thought was a great profit at the time, like 650 or 700. I was cheering. I'm like, yeah. The guy came from Sydney all the way to Blackheath in his little ass Hyundai XL. Yeah. Little bubble car.
Yeah.
And he turns up and I'm like, you want to buy this keyboard? He's like, yeah, I've got a studio. I'm like, that's the car. He's like, yeah, it's all right. The seats fold down. I'm like, right, the seats fold down. The thing weighed about 60 kilos, and it was literally like pretty much full piano, like a deep, heavy. So it's a brand new XL.
Yeah.
I say, I'll help you out to the car with it. And he goes, opens the passenger door. So it was a coupe, big long passenger door, puts the seat down. I'm like, it's probably going to make a mess. Oh, don't worry about it. Just grabs it and he's jamming it in. I'm just watching his upholstery and like the inside of his car
Oh,
get
no.
all fully scarred up. I was like, oh. But you know why? Because he went, this Mountains kid's an idiot. I've just got the bargain of a lifetime. I'm stuffing this in my car and I'm out of here.
Yeah,
He knows
yeah.
what he
Well,
got.
look, Hyundai XLs, good cars. They just go and go and go. I remember my sister
true.
had one, and I think she got like 300,000 Ks on it. It was still going. Look, Hyundai, if you
You
are looking
bash
for
them.
a few sponsorships out there,
Yeah.
we're open. We're available. We love
Can you still
driving
buy
a
those cars?
Hyundai. Yeah. They're good. They
You got
go.
one. You had
I
one.
used to have one. Yeah, we used to have,
Yeah.
and I want to get another one. I want to
think you should.
drive it again. We'll appear in your commercials. We'll plug it on the
Do like
podcast.
a full expose, take the camera on the road. Me and my
Absolutely.
Hyundai,
So
like travel around Australia 90 days.
everyone's looking for a new angle of getting into a new Hyundai, and this could be it. A paranormal podcast. Get us in your car.
That's it. I can see it. So
I
the
can see
marketing
it.
team probably should too.
The vision.
Speaking of family, it segues us into what this next episode is about, which is we're going to talk. We've got some interviews, which you did yourself. So,
Yeah.
just to back it up, you're on that side of the world, which is Australia. I'm on this side of the world, which is Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have done the next couple of interviews because you're interviewing mountains people,
Yep, that's right.
people we know, people we
Yep.
grew up with, and people that have their own stories. And that's something we wanted
Absolutely.
to share, start to get some perspective from different folks. So the first one is your mum.
Yeah, my mum, Margaret Mary Cosgrove Hall. Cosgrove was her maiden name. And I mentioned Cosgrove because part of her story and the beginning of her story starts when she was 16 years old. So before she met my dad, her connection to the world of the paranormal. And I would have to say that my mum is probably what you would describe as almost like a natural medium. Untrained, hasn't really gone down that path of doing readings or any of that kind of stuff, is just really open to that kind of energy. And she has some crazy stories, some great stories, and is just a natural storyteller. Mum always does say, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. So,
That's a good one.
but
That's
but it's interesting just talking about some of the memories of Valley Heights, our experiences in the mountains, and also the times that she grew up. And obviously her talking about her life and where she's at. She's she's now in her 80s, and so she's looking at her life with a really different perspective to where we're sitting and where lots of people sit. So there's a lot of wisdom there. It was a really good chat with Mum.
Well, you mentioned your mum and dad. It just reminds me before we move on because it's a great interview. It's quite lengthy, so anyone who's going to watch it, grab your popcorn. We've just kind of we're letting this one go. We decided when we interview people that we would kind of just let them tell their stories without cutting and editing and doing any crazy stuff.
Yeah, look, I really enjoyed interviewing Mum. It was really great to catch up with her. Obviously, she lives now many hours north. She's in Grafton with my sister, and my brother lives pretty nearby. So it was it was pretty special getting to tell her stories. And she had some time in Czech Republic as well, and she had some very bizarre things happen there as well. So I think we'll save that for when we get to the Prague episode. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll be doing. We've both got plenty to share from Prague, but let's jump in and see what happens. I don't know why I'm waving. I'm just hi.
Enjoy the episode. Don't wave, just enjoy. Hello, Mum. How are you?
Good day, Shawnee. How are you?
Very good. This is my mum, Margaret Hall.
Hello.
How long have we known each other?
45 years.
Yeah, maybe a bit more. I think I've known you all my life.
Well, that's right. But I've known you for 45 years.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're making me a bit younger. That's good. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
No, 47 years.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a long time. And I think it would be fair to say that like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about on the podcast, I've been influenced by our experiences growing up, or my experiences growing up, living in some of the crazy old houses that we used to live in. Now,
Sure did.
you and Dad, you and Dad always were like buying houses and fixing them up and renovating. Was that a like a investment scheme, or was it you just liked old houses? Why was that?
Yeah. It was sort of forget a house that was sort of a bit fallen apart, improve it, and then you increase its value, blah, blah, blah. And there have been some amazing, interesting houses.
Well, the first one that I had some like spooky experiences in, or sort of, it was a bit weird. There was the second Havana Street in Bathurst. There was a very old house. We lived in a
Yeah.
few other old places, and I had some other experiences there, but I was quite young, so I can't quite remember it. But we've got some footage of that house that Dad shot on Super 8mm that we might show right now. But can you tell us a little bit about the Havana Street house, and maybe did you have anything that happened there for you?
It was 169 Havana Street, Bathurst. Beautiful old style, like a Ronald McDonald type house.
Okay.
And yeah, as you'll see in the photo when you show it. Yeah, it was a very interesting house. It was, when we bought it, it was actually divided into 6 fully self-contained flats.
Right. Okay. It
So
was a guest
because
house before.
we had a few children,
Yep.
so I think we
Yeah.
had 6 at
6.
the
But
time.
then also Alex
Um,
Heinrich, who was exchange student, he used to live with us quite a bit as well, didn't he?
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he bought it up at Stanny's, but he
Yep.
used to come to us on the holidays.
Yep.
And we did the house up and brought it back to somewhat what it originally was like. Not quite, but sort of similar.
Yep.
And Greg had his own little flat out the back.
My oldest
With
brother, Greg. Yep.
eldest brother Greg had a little flat out the back, which he had a lot of fun and games in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we won't go there.
Won't go there. Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah, and there is a story told to me that actually Dame Nellie Melba sang in the lounge room,
Okay.
because the family who owned the house then um, had sort of sponsored her to come to Bathurst to sing,
Mm-hmm.
because she was a famous opera singer,
Yeah,
Dame
yeah.
Nellie Melba, and she sang in the lounge room. Now, a funny thing happened. One day
Yeah.
I had a record playing of Maria Callas singing an aria, and she hit a bum note, and all of a sudden, one of the doors just slammed, and the record stopped.
So you feel like maybe there was a reaction, sort of an energetic reaction, or a kind of
Yeah.
connection to the
I
music
think
there.
Dame Nellie Melba sort of thought, "Oh, she's no good."
She's no good. Dame Nellie Melba looking down on Maria Callas. Wow. Well, that's an exclusive scoop. We've got it
But
right
the
here.
record just stopped.
It's interesting because in that house, I remember always feeling on the upstairs level like there was something that was watching, or something that was pursuing me. Obviously, I was a very small child at the time, so that could have just been in my imagination,
Very sensitive.
and very sensitive to that kind of stuff. Sensitive kid. But also, I remember Kate. Her room had some pretty crazy things where windows
Yeah.
would close all of a sudden, but all by themselves. Yeah.
Yep. And her and a friend Leah, uh, who'd come over to stay sometimes, they used to hide in a little cupboard in the room because they could hear things.
Yeah.
And Kate didn't like that room. So I think we eventually moved her to another room.
Yeah, I know she had a few issues there, or a few things that happened to her that she was uncomfortable with, and that was kind of my memory of that place. It's
Yeah.
interesting because that place was maybe built in the late 19th century. It's a beautiful house now. It's been fully renovated, and I
Yes,
remember
beautiful.
we renovated as well. I think you and Dad and all of us painted it Mission Brown. Right?
Not the house, not the front. It
No,
was just the back
the
section.
back section. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My memory is the whole house was brown, but
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
6 or
And
7.
Mission Brown then that was about this is 70s,
Right.
late 70s. Mission brown was very much the thing then, and the bricks at the back were sort of eroded.
Yeah, okay.
So Dad had the great idea we'd paint it mission brown, which we did.
Good idea. So after we lived in Bathurst, that we moved to the Blue Mountains, and we were first in Wentworth Falls on King Tablelands Road.
And that was the Windy House.
The Windy House. And Josh and I, we were talking about the place down the end, the Aboriginal sacred site down the end, which was we call Turtle Rock because it had a shape of a turtle on it. And some of the strange things that didn't happen to me, but happened to Josh in that spot. Because Josh,
Right.
he used to live in Wentworth Falls just around the corner later on. And we both had a connection to that place, and we used to go there quite a bit. But he would see some very strange things happening on or near that rock, some of them in the bush and some of them in the sky. It was quite interesting. Yeah. And he spoke to a group of Aboriginal women that were on the rock one time, and they told him a little bit about the history and the heritage and I guess the Indigenous connection to that place. So that was pretty interesting living in that area.
Yeah, well, it was a place that was very sacred, I understood, from the Aboriginal, from the Indigenous people, that it was the tablelands was a sacred area.
Yeah, very
and
much so.
We should never have built there, I don't think.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because that's come up in a couple of conversations I've had recently. One with Pat, and he talked about talking with some Indigenous people that he was playing football with about the placement of where the football field was in Lapston. And, his memory of it was that was also a sacred area, and that playing football in that area maybe shouldn't have been, one of the things that shouldn't have happened there. The whole of the mountains is very, very
It's
interesting.
sacred.
Yeah, it's a sacred place, and it's interesting because there's a Buddhist temple up in Blackheath, with Vipassana temple, and the Buddhists, I guess, have recognized the kind of spiritual significance of these mountains, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Man has made a mark everywhere it's gone.
Yeah. This kind of colonial adventures that we've gone on. Yeah,
we know better. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's pretty tawdry, isn't it? Interestingly, you lived in the mountains before I was born, in the 70s, and in a place in Glenbrook. Is that right? There was the house that you had in Glenbrook?
Yeah.
Now,
We had sold our house down in Cranebrook, which is near Penrith, which we built down there in 72, I think it was.
Right.
We'd sold the house, and Dad had a business in Katoomba and Bathurst.
Yeah.
And we felt that it was a long way for him to travel all the time. So we then rented. Father Fay was a friend of mine who was the parish priest at Glenbrook, I think then.
Yep.
And his mother's house was empty.
Okay.
So he said that we could rent that for a time. And so we did, and waited around until we decided then to move to Bathurst. But then we had to move from there to another house in Glenbrook, which was a very sad street, because that street in the Granville, anybody remember the Granville train disaster?
Yep.
Well, in that street, every second house, excuse me, had somebody killed.
Wow.
And it was a very, very sad place. Grandma from Perth, Grandma Hall, Doug's mother, came over to visit one time. And we had always noticed that there was a separate toilet near the bathroom. We'd always noticed the door kept jamming.
Yep.
So Doug had the locks changed. So anyway, she had gone into that toilet, and she tried to get out and couldn't get out. So she was banging on the door. And we got the fire brigade people in, because we couldn't open it and she couldn't get out, and it was only a tiny, tiny window. So they had to come and get the door open.
Mm-hmm.
And she got out and she was very, very distressed. But we don't know. But another thing weird, after she went home, she always talked about it, that it was really weird because it was like somebody was holding her in there.
Mm.
So then after that, she'd gone home and I was vacuuming the lounge room area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had the door out into the veranda open, and it was an open type lounge room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm vacuuming away, and all of a sudden, the cord of the vacuum cleaner gets pulled out and thrown, and the vacuum cleaner goes across the room, and then the door to the veranda just slams, but there was no wind, so I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, very strange. I think you remember. I remember you telling me that there was something. It was a sliding door, and there was something holding the door open, and the thing that was holding the door open had been moved.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very, very strange place.
But maybe I attract these people.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that we're talking about a lot. Is that is this a combination of a place and a energy in that place? Like you were saying, it was a sad place because of the disaster that affected that particular street. There's stories in Japan of after the tidal wave that affected the nuclear power plant in Japan, the Fukushima disaster, and they talk about the amount of people that lost their lives during that. And there's some stories about people seeing their loved ones return in spiritual form and it being a very sad, haunted place after those type of disasters. So I think there's a connection to the memory of people, but also incident, but also places. But then again, like you said, people, maybe certain people are open or attract those types of things because there is a consistent theme. Because when we moved, this is many years later, maybe about 10 years after this or 15 years later on, we moved into a place in Valley Heights. And that was the Valley Heights Orchid Nursery. There was a sandstone house that was built.
Yeah, it was a beautiful sandstone, sort of a Cape Cod style house, which built in the 1890s, I think.
I believe so, yeah. Heritage listed and still heritage listed.
Well, I had a heritage list put on it.
Oh, you did it? Okay.
Yeah. I had it listed as a heritage house, surrounded by amazing gardens.
Yeah, it was beautiful there.
Beautiful house. I love that house.
Me too.
Even though it had a lot of weird things happen, I still love that house.
Well,
that sort of was my home.
It feels like it was my home as well, and it was pretty. Yeah, it was a sad. I felt like it was a sad time having to leave that house because of there was a combination of factors playing the recession we had to have,
economic period,
really high interest rates. Plus, there was a widening of the highway, so there was like a need for the RTA at the time to buy most of the land, and we had to more or less sell it to them. We couldn't sort of subdivide or break that away. Although the house is still there. Going into that house, Josh and I shared a few. Well, I shared a few stories with Josh about our experiences there. He had one in that place, and I know you obviously had quite a few as well. I had my own, but there's a few that are pretty interesting for me. There's the one where Joyce came to visit. I think that's a really interesting story. Do you want to tell us that one about our friend Joyce from Bathurst that came to visit us in the mountains?
Joyce Noonan and her daughter. I can't think of the daughter's name. Anyway, whatever it was, I was speaking to them on the phone, and I said, she said, "Oh, it's very cold up here in Bathurst." And I said, "Well, why don't you come and visit us for the weekend down at Valley Heights, because it's not too bad down here." Oh, she said, "That'd be good." So Joyce and Alison was her daughter's name.
That's right.
And so they wandered down on the Saturday morning in the car to visit us, and they arrived and welcomed them in. They brought their doonas and pillows and all that sort of thing. So got them organised out of the car, when I said, look, would you like some cup of tea and scones? And so she said, oh, that'd be lovely. So we sat out in a little room that overlooked the big jacaranda tree. And the telephone was in that room as well. It was just a small room. And I had a table set up and we started having our scones and tea and jam and all that. And excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. And the plague's not on at the moment.
Okay.
Anyway, she's sitting there having her tea and scones, and he very angrily sort of said to me, don't you have any other rooms in this house? And I said, yes, plenty, Joyce. So I can't sit here. And I knew she was a bit sort of erratic. Kate had lived with her while she was at school in Bathurst, up in Bathurst.
Sure.
And anyhow, she used to do Ouija boards and runes and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And I said, yeah. Well, she said, I've got to move. So, okay, I picked everything up and I took it up to the dining room. So we're sitting in the dining room, which was a lovely big room and beautiful table and all that. And she said, yes, and got very agitated. And I said, are you all right, Joyce? No. I don't know if I can stay here. And I said, why? Oh, she said, it's got terrible, terrible energy. Oh, I said, really? I said, no, it's okay. It's a beautiful house. I said, look, how about we go outside in nice sunshine? And she said, okay. So at that, she got hold of Alison and they had a conversation.
Mm.
And she came back and she said, we're leaving. I said, you only got here. She said, I can't stay. I can't stay in this house. It's terrible. I said, oh. So we packed the doonas and the pillows and everything back in the car and they went.
And that, to drive from Bathurst to Valley Heights, that's at least 2 hours to get
3 hours.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, yeah. So it's a long way to come and a long way just to turn up for a few minutes, half an hour, and then turn around. It's interesting because Josh had exactly the same experience that Joyce did. He turned up to the house to come over. We were having a party there, and he walked inside, stayed for 5 minutes, made up an excuse, called his mum and left because he felt a very strange energy in there. I felt some strange things in there, but I know that you saw a few things that are happening in the place. So can you describe what you would see in the kitchen?
Oh, yes. I see. I'm friendly with ghosts. I don't treat them as baddies.
Yeah.
I think, okay, that means that we've got an immortal soul and somebody's up there, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, quite often I'll be coming through the kitchen and I'll be going out to the back section where there was a toilet, shower, carport, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden this floating tool would be there in front of me.
Yep.
And I'd just say, oh, go away, Mr. Dean, go away, get on your bike.
Right.
But that used to happen to be a lot.
And so you would see like a white kind of fabric, like a fabric moving through the room. Is that moving through the kitchen? And it would move in the same direction each time. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it would go, where would it come from? Which door would it come from when you would see it? Or it just
I don't know.
in the kitchen?
Didn't seem to come from anywhere. It would just appear.
But it went in a certain direction, didn't it?
It always went out of the house.
So out the kitchen door towards the garage into the
out of the kitchen
bathroom.
door.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And so that was a repetition, something you'd see over and over.
Sometimes I'd see it in the hallway.
Okay.
Which was just out of the kitchen.
Right.
And I'd just say, oh, come on, mate, get out of the way.
Now, you called it Mr. Dean, Mr. Roy Dean, who used to own the nursery, Valley Heights Orchid Farm, very successful nursery operator, very popular place in the 40s and the 50s. He lived there and died in the house. Is that right?
Yep.
He sort of died in the back room.
And also, I heard the story from Mrs. Dean's daughter
Lynette?
No, that was Jean's daughter.
Right. Yep. Mrs. Dean's
I
daughter.
can't remember the lady's name, Mrs. Dean's daughter. She lived in Dubbo or somewhere, and she came down to visit one time. And she told me the story of her son who died of leukemia
Right.
at about 24 years old.
Okay.
And he was very loved by his grandfather, Mr. Dean.
Yep.
And his dying days were spent in that house.
Right. Okay.
Valley Heights.
Yeah, it's something that I guess some people will go, oh, that's nonsense. That's not true. It seems like you have a real kind of acceptance that, yep, there's ghosts. You know, it's just part of life. I remember you telling me, because I used to get a bit scared of these kind of things, it's better to be more scared of the living than the dead, which
They're dead, yeah.
which in a way was kind of like, hey, mum's saying these things are real. You're not saying they're not real. So where did that come from? Is that like is that part of your belief system, or is it just part of your experience? How do you come to find that idea?
I don't know. I just think it's like a sixth sense I have.
Yeah.
And I've had it since I was very young. Do you want to hear another story that I can
maybe.
relate
What was
to
the
I
youngest
was about
experience?
16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine, Anthony Wallington, who was Trisha's friend as well, that's my girlfriend Trisha, who lives in Paris.
Yep.
He said, I'm going to visit my Auntie Peg. And I said, oh, that's great. He said, come with us. She's lovely. It's Uncle Doug and Auntie Peg. So I said, oh, where do they live? He said, oh, they live on the corner of Dover Road in Rose Bay. And I said, all right. So we went to visit them and they welcomed us in. And I walked in the door and all of a sudden I said to them, you've moved the stairs. And she looked at me. She said, no, that I know of. And I said, yes, there used to be stairs there that went up to the attic. She said, oh, no. Anyhow, we went out the back and I said, they'd put in a patio sort of thing. And I said, you've taken the stables down. And she said, no. When we bought the place, there was no stables. I said, oh, okay. So Tricia sort of pushed me and said, shut up, Margaret.
Be quiet.
Cosy.
Be quiet, Margaret. Yeah, Cosy.
Okay. And so I didn't know. So anyway, we left. We said goodbye and lovely, it's blah, 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 and left. And I went home and said to Dad, funny thing happened today. So I went to a house on the corner of Dover Road, Rose Bay. And I said, I went into the house and all of a sudden I could see the house was a lot different to what it originally was. And he said to me, where was this house? And I said, it was on the corner of Dover Road and I can't think of the other street. He said, that was your Auntie Maggie's house. He said, your grandfather Cosgrove, built it for her as a wedding present. And she lived there till she died at 34. And I said, well, I could see the stairs weren't there that used to be there. And he said, yes, there were stairs that went to the attic. And I said, out the back, there were stables. And he said, yes, there were stables because she had a horse.
So that was when you were 16 years old, this kind of, like you described, a sixth sense, a perception of these things. So you've had this experience for a long time. Where do you think it comes from for you? Is it a connection to, like, do you think it's like an Irish, Anglo-Celtic kind of thing?
I don't know, because my mother and father sort of didn't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
My grandmother, Noni, she always believed in the afterlife and a spiritualism.
Yep.
And we used to have lots of long conversations, her and I, and also arguments, because she'd say one thing and I'd argue with her about it. but we adored one another, so it didn't matter. We still had a wonderful relationship, but a lot of the things I think probably came from Noni. She came from Ireland when she was 3 years old.
Yeah. They came on a ship, is that
as
right?
a baby on a ship. Yes,
Yeah.
I have all the history of the ship they came on and everything. And she was 3 years old, and they left Ireland. Do you want to hear that story or not?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
We could go on all day.
Well, that's what we're here for. I want to hear it. Thanks.
She left Ireland as a baby of 3 years old, or a little person, with her mother and father and their other children. Now, there was a potato famine on in Ireland.
Mm.
And because of the potato famine, everyone was running out of money. Now, her family, her grandparents, owned hotels or pubs in Ireland.
Mm.
So because of the potato famine, nobody had any money to buy anything in the pubs. So they were going broke.
Yeah.
Now, the grandparents, Noni's grandparents, said to the families, right, we're going to give you a trunk of gold sovereigns each and go to the new world. And so my great-grandfather, would it be?
Mm-hmm.
His brothers all went to Boston in America.
Yeah.
And on my branch of the family, Noni's mother and father, came to Australia. And the reason they came to Australia was because my great-grandmother said, we have to go to Australia because my eldest daughter, Auntie Kate, went to Australia as a governess to one of the British officers.
Yep.
So we have to go to Australia, and that's why they came to Australia.
Wow. Now, I believe they had a chest of gold with them, and they had to chuck it overboard because of the ship was.
No.
Is that wrong? What have I got wrong? Come on, tell me the story.
The story goes, or Noni told me the story that was told to her by her mother. There was a terrible storm on the crossing, and it took 6 months. And it was a terrible storm, and they were frightened the ship would go down. So the captain said, all women and children up on board, get in the lifeboats.
Right.
And my grandmother, my grandmother's mother, my great-grandmother, said, don't be ridiculous. Who's going to come and rescue us out here in the middle of nowhere? No, I'm staying in my bed with my baby and my chest of gold sovereigns. And she did. And they weathered the storm and got to Australia.
And kept the gold.
Yep.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's not at the bottom of the ocean for all those treasure hunters out there. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I spend a bit of time working with people, as you know, helping them with their professional communication. One of the things we do is we get them to tell stories about their grandparents as an activity or an exercise. And it's so interesting, these kind of stories, that inside of every generation of people, there's this history of these kind of quite incredible experiences, which I think is so important. Yeah. That's good, Mum. Thanks.
History.
It's a history, but it's also that connection in your blood, like it's like a memory that can be passed on, blood memory, perhaps.
That's why your father, Doug, he loved seeing the patients because they'd tell him all these stories. He said this little old people would come in and they'd tell him stories about their life. And their life had been very exciting or very traumatic or whatever. But he said the stories were fantastic and he loved it.
So just to go back there so your experience, you think maybe there's a connection between you and your grandmother, Noni, and then at 16, you started to have, see a certain connection to your Auntie Maggie. Is that right? Auntie Maggie?
Auntie Maggie, yes,
Auntie Maggie.
Who's buried at Waverley Cemetery. That's our grave plot.
That's our
Waverley
plot there,
Cemetery.
yeah. So, my grandparents, your mum and dad are there. We put Dad's ashes there as well.
And I'm going
Thank-
there too.
You going there too? Not today though.
Oh, yeah.
Not this week.
With knobs on.
Yeah, you like that spot. That's a good spot. Now going back to our place at Valley Heights, because there's a couple other questions I wanted to ask about that place. There was a group of actors that we rented the house to because there were two houses. There was the big old house that we lived in, and then there was the little house, manager's cottage behind the orchid nursery.
Yeah.
There was a time where we rented that place out. Can you tell us a little bit about like what that was about and their experience there? Because they were a production company or an acting troupe that had rented the house. Yeah.
Yes, well, I saw an ad in the Herald or one of those papers for a group of people who were doing a production in the Blue Mountains.
Yep.
And they wanted a historical house.
Yep.
To live in and to do stories about and so on. So they said there was going to be 6 of them and they'd live in the house. They were offering a lot of money per week. And at the time, we were struggling because there was a drought in Bathurst. Doug's business was not doing too well up there because it was a 7-year drought. And there was a lot of costs involved with Valley Heights and so on. So we said, oh, well, that's a good idea. We'll rent the house out to them for a 6-week period. And we'll just move into the manager's house for the time being. So we did. And I think we kicked Patrick and Louise out and put them in a caravan.
Yep, I think we did. That's my brother and his wife. They got kicked out into a caravan.
And with the goat that used to buck the caravan.
Laurie the goat. Yes, I remember him as well. Was it for 6 weeks or 6 months, do you think? How long was it?
I think it was 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
It wasn't
okay.
6 months.
It was a short-term rental.
And they were paying something like $800 a week, which was pretty good.
At the time.
Yeah. And so they moved in. They were all very happy. And Kate used to go over and say hello. And so
I used to go over as a
forth.
kid as well. I'd spend some time with the people there. I remember being... they'd show me they were doing like rune stones, which is like a kind of like another kind of form of spiritualism or something. Yeah, so there was some things going on there for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, they seemed all very happy there, and they were going out. And we used to go out and film and everything, and come back in the night. And this particular night, all the guys, there were about 3 guys and 3 girls or something like that. And the guys said, oh, look, they were going down to Sydney for the night or down the mountains for the night, wherever, I'm not sure where. And the girls said, oh, okay. And they said, we've got to stay here. And they said, yep. So anyhow, the girls stayed behind. And in the middle of the night, we heard banging on the manager's cottage door. And they're banging, banging, banging. And Doug opened the door and he said, and the girl said, we can't stay there. We can't stay there. It's terrible. And he said, what happened? So we said, come on inside, sit down. We gave him a cup of tea or something. And they said, yes, we were lying in bed. And all of a sudden, somebody kept coming and pulling all our clothes off our bed. And we didn't know what to do. So we came over here. And we're not going back. Okay.
Right. So and I remember that night because I was there. I remember them coming across and it was pretty wet. It was thundery. There was a lot of rain. So I think they would have had to come across in the dark, like, I don't know, like 500 meters, something like this between the two houses.
Something like that,
yeah. And they came across, they was, soaked and terrified. And these are, adult women, in their 20s or 30s, terrified by what was going on in the house. We're just about to run out of time on this particular Zoom link. So do you mind if we jump on and do a little bit more? Is that all right?
Yep.
Couple more strange things that played out in that particular place was Dad's experience watering the bromeliads
Yeah.
down in the shed there.
Mhm.
Now, I remember Dad telling this story. The shed was near the old house. It was down. We had a pool. You went down the terrace gardens, down to the pool, past the pool, and there was an old kind of, what would you say? It's like a kind of agricultural shed. How would you describe the sheds on the
No, it
property?
wasn't a shed.
It was like,
It was layers. It was like terracing
yep,
in stone,
yep,
and the bromeliads were all on the thing, and it sort of had a canopy over it
yeah, that's right.
to protect them.
And
And
so Dad was there. It was like a kind of, I remember it was summertime, or like certainly
yeah,
the
it was
days
a
were a lot
warm
longer.
day,
Warm day.
and it
Dad
was
was
late in the
watering.
evening
Yep.
because he used to always water them late in the evening if it'd
Mhm.
been a hot day, because the bromeliads come from the tropics and they like moisture and so on.
Yep.
Yep. So he went down to water the bromeliads.
Mm.
And he was down there with the hose and the sprinkler and so on, watering away. And Hamish, our dog, and
Yes.
Haggy, our little dog, they were down there with him. And they followed us always, all around the place.
Yep.
Anyway, he's down there happily watering away. And all of a sudden, he felt this terrible feeling of someone there with him.
Yeah.
And the dog, he said the dog's hackles went up. And he really felt oppressed, he said. And so he dropped the hose, turned it off, and came back to the house.
Okay, interesting. Now, in my recollection of that, and maybe I've got a different recollection. I believe that Dad saw somebody inside the shed, like there was someone there, or he just felt the energy.
He felt there was someone there. I don't know if he actually saw anyone there.
Interesting.
He just felt this presence. And see, Dougie, your father, my
Yeah.
husband, was a non-believer. He
Yeah.
believed this is a load of crap.
Yeah.
All us people carrying on about
So
ghosts and so on.
he was more skeptical about the whole thing.
Yep.
And so what was that experience for him as a non-believer to be in that place and then feel something quite strong, or a strong presence in that place? Did it change his mind about those kind of things?
No,
Didn't.
no.
So how did he describe it?
He said that he didn't understand it, but there was something, but he
Mm.
couldn't understand what it was. But there was something, he said, and it was menacing.
Now, he went on to have quite a profound dream, and I think dreams are a place where we kind of go to another reality. There's lots of work on dreams. You know, Jung, who's someone that I read quite a lot of, talks a lot about, the importance of understanding our dreams. He had a profound dream pretty close to the time that maybe at the end of our story at Valley Heights, sort of getting towards the end of it. Can you tell us a little bit about the dream that he had whilst we were living in that house?
Yes. Now, we were in the process of putting the house on the market for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of strange things happened after that.
Yeah.
And I believe, I don't know if I'm right, that the Dean family were upset that we were leaving the house because we had brought to it a sense of family, happiness, because we had many happy occasions in that house.
Yeah. Yep.
It
We did.
wasn't all scary.
No. There was a lot of parties. There was a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
remember.
we had a lot of parties,
Yep.
Christmas parties and so on, and all the families came. And it was a celebratory type house.
Yep.
And I think I just feel that Mr. Dean or whatever was upset that we were getting out of that house
Mm.
because I think he felt that the house was safe with us.
Yep.
Anyhow, this particular night, it was a winter's night. It was cold, and we'd all settled down to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asleep, and all of a sudden I was woken by Douglas, who was very agitated and going, ah, ah, ah. I thought he was having a heart attack or something.
Right. Okay.
And I said, what's up, Doug? What's wrong? And he said, oh, 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 I just had this terrible, terrible dream. Oh, and he was shaking and the perspiration was coming off him and he was really, really distraught. And I said, well, what was the dream? He said, well, this old little short man who was very determined came to me in the dream, and he was holding a lady's body in his arms. And he said to me, you've got to take this lady down into the valley. And I looked at him, and at that, he handed me the lady's body. And I said, oh, oh. And at that, I saw this very beautiful Swiss valley. And I've got this lady's body in my arms. And he said, now you got to take her down into the valley. And I was worried. I got very worried because I thought, if I take her down into the valley, what's going to happen to me? And all of a sudden, I just felt I couldn't do it. No. I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going down in the valley. And he screamed at me, go into the valley. I said, no. And I dropped the body. And I woke up. And after this, he sat there, still very distraught. And I said, I better make you a cup of tea or something. And so he got up out of bed and he went to the back room, which was a big rumpus room. And the old big fire was going. And he sat in the red rocking chair till dawn. And he really was very distraught still after that. Anyway, it was the morning, and I went up to open the nursery. And my dear friend who used to work for us, Jean, who also worked for the Dean family before us, came to work. And I said, good morning, Jean, how are you? She said, oh, good, darling. And I said, well, Douglas, I'll tell you a story that Douglas had a dream last night, a really strange dream. And she said, okay. And she sat down and I told her the story. And she looked sort of shocked. And she said, oh, that's a very strange dream. Because she said last night, Mrs. Dean had a bad fall in her house. And she now lived in a house in Glenbrook. And she laid there all night on the floor and couldn't move. And in the morning, her daughter-in-law, who used to come every morning just to say hello and check up on her, arrived, and the daughter-in-law had a key, let herself in, and found Mrs. Dean on the floor. She called an ambulance. They came, got her to Nepean Hospital and revived her, and she survived. And Jean said, if Douglas had taken her down into the valley, she would have died.
How did Jean describe the man in the story, in the dream?
I have photos of old Mr. Dean, and he was a short, stocky little man. But as Jean always described him, very, very demanding. And in fact, he was so demanding, Jean used to have to carry water to the plants in buckets. And he made up, like they do over in the Middle East and so on. Asia, a rod that went across the shoulders with two little buckets hanging on them. And she used to have to go and water the plants.
So he was
So he was a very
fairly determined.
dictatorial man.
Yeah, right.
Beg your
Determined, dictatorial, he said.
Yeah.
That's how long did Dad carry that story with him? Did it take him
A
a
long
while to
time.
let it go? Yeah.
Long time.
And so it's
And-
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
After that, he actually was always worried about going to bed,
Yeah,
go to
right.
sleep.
So you've
So-
got someone that, you know, is inherently skeptical about these type of things, but has some
Yeah.
pretty strange experiences in this place that may have shifted his idea of it. But you kind of seem to say maybe not. He still was, nah, that's not true, but is having these experiences anyway.
I don't think he wanted to address it.
Yeah, right.
So he was always had a fear of death.
Mm.
I don't. I'm here one day, gone the next. Okay. I'm not frightened of dying. I am frightened of being very disabled.
Yeah.
And a burden on my family.
Mm.
But if I just drop dead, that's fine. I
Mm.
have no fear of death. As Doug, even to the stage where when I'd bring up insurance years and years and years ago when we had little children and that, and I'd say, Doug, we have to get some life insurance.
Mm.
So, no, what do we do that for? I said, because if anything happens to us, you know, there's something there for them. But he always had this thing that if you took life insurance, you might die.
How do you feel about this idea of not being afraid of death? Do you think that's linked to your faith or your understanding of your soul? And do you think it's
Yeah.
different for people that maybe don't have that kind of same level of faith?
I think it's probably very sad if someone doesn't have a faith in something higher than themselves.
Mm.
I think it's, but I don't know. It's a sort of spiritual thing, and it's a definite faith. I have faith. I have faith in God, and I have faith in man.
Mm.
Um,
Even though things in the world of, you know, the world of people, the world of men, the world of humanity, not great, they can do some pretty terrible things. You still have faith in
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess that speaks to an idea of having a certain way of looking at the world of pessimism or the world of optimism or a world of
The
hope.
cup's half full instead of half empty.
Half empty, yeah. And I think it must be, I don't know, an affirming way to live your life in a way that's abundant or joyful in many ways.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like that's a really good place for us to sort of just pause for a moment, maybe to finish the conversation. Are there any, but before we do, are there any other stories about Valley Heights or any other places that you thought might be a good way to finish this, or is anything?
There's one story that Becky reminded me about.
Yeah.
That's Rebecca, your sister.
We've seen her walking backwards and forwards behind
Okay.
camera a couple of times.
Yes. She reminded me of this story. One night we were in bed asleep again, and we must have done a lot of sleeping.
There was a lot of sleeping going on. We do it a lot.
And all of a sudden, there were these lights that sort of woke me up. These really bright lights coming through the bedroom window, which faced out to the long driveway that came down to the house.
Mm.
And these high beam lights were coming down towards the house. And I woke up and I thought, oh, I better get up and put the kettle on because I think Terry's arrived. Now,
My brother
Terry is
Terry,
your
yeah.
brother,
Yeah.
my son.
Coming back from Nepean Hospital.
Yeah, he used to work late sometimes down at Nepean Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd drop in on his way back to Lawson, where he lived. And I thought, oh, Terry's arrived. And at that, the lights stopped, and I had this awful feeling that somebody was holding me down on the bed, really holding me, pushing me down on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then this hand came and just went straight across my face like that, pushing me. And I came to and I said, Douglas, did you just put my hand on my face? But he was sound asleep and rolled over the other side.
Mm.
I knew it wasn't him. I don't know what it was, but it was just an awful feeling that somebody was holding me down, and then this really harsh hand went.
Very dramatic. It's that those type of experiences, you know, sometimes people talk about like a phantom weight. Is, you know, people have described these certain things. I think there sometimes can be explanations behind this. Do you remember at the time, were you fully conscious at the time, or you half in of sleep, half out of sleep?
No, I was fully conscious
Yeah,
because I was
that's
about to get out of bed to go and make a cup of tea for Terry.
absolutely, that's right. I remember that was pretty close to the end, and I did also feel that there was a sense of, at the time, there was a sense of whatever energy, whatever spirits were in the house, wanting to keep us there.
Were
And
angry with us. They were angry.
yeah, like that we were moving on, we were taking something away from them. I also had a dream pretty close towards the end of staying there, which was terrifying for me. And it was like the house was communicating to me to tell me to do certain things. And it was to a point where I had to completely reject what the energy of the house was saying in the dream, quite violently reject that idea because it was about causing harm to the people around me. And it's quite profound. And I felt like I had to really reject the energy of that particular place. And I know we had a couple of people that came to check it out. I know that we had a blessing of the house.
Yeah,
Father
we had
Michael came.
Father Michael came and did a blessing of the house.
Blessing of the house, but we also had a man who was
An elderly man,
who came to the house with divining rods to look at ley lines inside the house as well. And I noticed that when I was there that day when he came over, a friend of your good friend, our good friend Jean Anderson, she introduced him to us, and he came through the house and he found ley lines or energy centers all throughout the house. And I think he described it as a place that he'd never seen anything quite like it in his experience. The amount of different
and
ley
the
lines
main
inside
one
there.
was from the bottom of the stairs going up through Becky's bedroom. That was terribly strong.
Yeah, and that was the place because I lived at the top of those stairs where I often would hear somebody walking up the stairs over, in the middle of the night. And I remember the rooms between Beck's and Kate's room, the attic space that you could go through those doors as being very strange. And Beck having some quite full on experiences in that room as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Wow.
many stories. And you had a story also you told me about a friend of yours who came and he was up the top of the hill.
That's right. Yeah. Look, my friend Aaron from primary school, he
Aaron
came
Meredith,
to visit.
wasn't it?
Yeah, Meredith. That's right, Aaron Meredith, and he seemed like you. He kind of had some sort of sixth sense about the place. And when we were kids, he came over to the house and he told me about what he thought was going on in the house. And as a kid, you can take it with a grain of salt, but he seemed really convinced. And I don't think he was having me on. He seemed to be quite convinced that there were three different spirits in the house. There was a young boy, a woman, and an older man. And from what we've been talking about today, possibly correlates to some of those different experiences
And
we're
didn't
having.
he see, he was up the top of the driveway and he saw an old man and a young boy coming out the door.
Yeah, that's what he said he could see. I couldn't see it. I didn't see things in Valley Heights. I heard things. I heard a lot of different things. That was how I interpreted that place,
Like
hearing
doors
noises.
banging in the kitchen and
Always the kitchen, drawers opening and closing. I also, as I heard mentioned before, people walking up the stairs, and I did hear someone speaking my name in my ear after we had some moments where the vacuum cleaner had been turning off and on. Kate and Beck were freaking out. I called you on the phone you were at the shop on the highway, the nursery, and I called you to say, we're having some weird things happening down here in the house. Can we come up and see you? Leave the house. And as I was about to hang up the phone, I heard someone whisper my name in my ear. And I went,
wow.
icy cold down on the side of my body. And I just put the phone down and went, all right, Kate, Beck, let's go. And it's interesting because it's in those moments I just become quite calm and very focused and very like, let's get on with things. But it was like, oh, what was that? Yeah, some strange things happened there. But like we said, Valley Heights was a lot of fun. We had a lot of good times. I have a lot of positive, happy memories there. But I do remember feeling at times moments where I wanted to get out of the place or run away or not be there by myself as a young
I'm
kid.
sorry about that.
Well, it's kind
This
of
is
like
life.
it's life.
C'est la vie.
But hey, it's given us this wonderful opportunity to tell these stories, and it's certainly inspired me. One last thing I'll say is we had a great piano there, the Steinway Grand, and that that was your piano that you were given by your Uncle Herbert.
Uncle Herbert
Had given to you to play as a young woman or a young child playing that, and that
because I
lived
was
with us
supposed
in
to
the
be a
house.
concertist.
That was your career path that they'd chosen for you.
Yep.
You didn't go down that path, but I've got a lot of keyboards around me right now, and I was very inspired to play music sitting next to that particular instrument for many years, and we recorded.
So is Terry.
So was Terry. I remember. This is a funny thing. I remember one time you got a bit cranky at Terry and I don't know, you're frustrated one day and you said, and we've got this beautiful piano and nobody plays it. And he stormed off, and I looked at Terry and I said, so what instrument are you going to play? And he said, I'm going to play the piano. And I said, I'll go and play the saxophone. And so that started a bit of a musical journey for us, I guess, trying to make our mum happy. Maybe that's a good motivation, maybe not. I don't know. But it certainly motivated me throughout the years. But I always remember sitting in that place, practicing music next to that piano, and always feeling like a very positive presence.
I've got photos of you.
Yeah. Well, I maybe we can share one right now and put it up on the screen. There's with me, with you, little Alex and Yvette.
Alex, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to the piano there. And I always felt a very positive, supportive, encouraging energy next to that instrument. It's almost like helping me to continue, keep playing, keep making music. And I think you've always been encouraging of, my creativity. And I guess that's why we're talking about this stuff, is to open up parts of our creativity and get people talking about the unknown, the world that's hidden. So yeah, it's exciting. I like it.
And I've got stories about Prague too, but we won't go there today.
Well, our first few episodes, we're going to talk about the Blue Mountains. So we'll definitely be talking about Valley Heights and Glenbrook, maybe a little bit of Bathurst, which is a bit on the other side of the mountains. But we are going to start talking about some stories about Prague. So I think we should get you back for your Prague story on another.
That'd be fun.
Podcast. Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Well,
the old actress is coming out.
Yeah, well, that's right. We're all actors at heart in a way, and I think that's why we're doing this, because it is fun, it's enjoyable, and it fills people with joy. And a lot of people are starting to watch the little episodes now, and the longer episodes, and it's making them happy. And that's
and the
all
thing
we can
is,
do.
I've got to get you to sort me out with trying to get those on YouTube or whatever.
Oh, right. Well, I can send it to you on your phone if you want, and we can do it that way.
Okay.
But I just want to say an official thank you to my mum, Margaret Hall, for coming on the podcast, sharing some stories. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for a lot of fun. Thank you, Sean.
My pleasure.
All right, that was great. Good, nice interviewing skills.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
It's great to see your mum. I haven't seen your mum in a long time, and she's still looking bubbly and fresh and
Sharp.
sprightly and all of those lovely things that she's always
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope everyone got something out of that, and we're going to endeavour to interview some more people. We got some other ones coming up soon.
Yep.
With our school teacher, one of our school teachers.
Yeah, that's going to be the next episode. Our old geography teacher, John Takori, has some crazy stories about the school that we went to. And that's going to be another interview that we're going to do, and that's coming out in a couple of weeks. So we're looking
Great.
forward to seeing you back in a few more weeks on Hidden in Plain Sight. Thanks so much for watching, and
Indeed. And thanks, Marg. Thanks, your mum, for the interview.
yeah, thanks, Mum. And remember, keep watching the skies.
Keep watching the skies and look out for the meat bots. They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
May just be one.